Cerberus narrations. Because who needs sleep anyway?
I'm a 25-year-old female, and right now, I'm caught up in a bit of an unsettling situation. For the past 2 weeks, I've been coming home from work to find packages on my doorstep. It happens every other day, sometimes more, sometimes less, and the packages always contain the same thing: video recordings of me, surveillance style. They're burned onto discs, and they're about 5 to 10 minutes long. Just me, in various spots, hanging out at the cafe near my workplace, coming out of the grocery store, pumping gas, etc. They're always taken from across the street, and they appear to be rather dated. Going by my attire and the weather, I'd say they were recorded sometime around October, before it had snowed, and before the trees outside were completely bare. The videos don't appear to be menacing, but they're still very, very creepy. Someone has been following me, recording me in secret, and now they're taunting me with the footage they've collected. For all I know, they're still recording me. I have no idea. I've installed a dash cam on my car, and I've informed the police. They advised me to get cameras and be extra careful, and if anything else happens, if one of the cameras catches footage of the stalker, then I should report back to the police immediately. I've also installed motion sensor cameras outside of my house, front and back. I installed them 2 days ago, and I haven't received any packages since. I'll know tomorrow. This person has never gone 3 days without making a delivery. I have no ex-boyfriends who would do anything like this. No one I've seriously hurt to the point that they would want to taunt me in such a creepy way. The really creepy thing about the recordings is, there's no audio. It's just video footage, and they always seem to zoom in on random parts of my body at different times. If I'm sipping on coffee, they'll zoom into my lips. If I'm tucking a few loose strands of hair behind my ear, they'll zoom in there. If I'm reading something for a long period of time, they'll zoom into my eyes, and the creepiest one of all, if I'm pumping gas into my car, they'll zoom into the hand that's grasping the nozzle. Suffice to say, I'm scared. My boyfriend has been made aware, but he currently lives in Seoul. We're long distance. He said that he's going to fly home and stay with me, take a few weeks off of work, and to make sure I don't get kidnapped or something. I've never gone through anything like this before. The police are no help either. Let's just hope the motion sensor cameras were enough to scare them off. I am not a native English speaker, and ironically, this is the second story where being multilingual has somehow helped me. I recently drove from Philadelphia to Buffalo with my cat. The ride was long, but we were making decent time for the most part. She and I had gotten up toward right before you got into New York. It was around 5:30 p.m, but that also meant it was around pitch black outside. We had only stopped once to get something at McDonald's, and I drank their iced tea quickly to try to stay awake. I definitely had to pee. I didn't want to leave my cat in the car, so I put a leash on and we walked into the gas station. I said. "Do you mind if we use the restroom here?" The man behind the counter said sure, and she and I entered into the bathroom. She sat on the counter while I did my thing. The store wasn't empty. There were some dudes around browsing for honey buns, tasty cake, and cheaper cigarettes than those in New York. There was a woman talking to the counter guy up the front of the store. She was probably a regular, based on their seeming familiarity with one another. My cat jumped about a foot when we heard the doorknob rattle. I laughed and said, "Sorry, it's occupied right now." My cat is a trained animal. She is trained to handle people, stimulating situations, crowds, and relatively loud noise. I looked over at her after the jump, and her tail was as full as could be, and she got low and slipped up to her favourite position on my shoulders. She dug into my hair with her nails and did her little grumble at me that she does when she wants to be let outside. The doorknob rattled again, and she reached out toward the door in a quick way. "It's still occupied," I called out, but I wasn't laughing this time. We then heard someone speak. It was a man's voice, and honestly, it kinda made my blood run cold. They were speaking a cousin of my native language. They were saying, "Should I grab her when she comes out?" And in my native tongue, grab doesn't really have the multiple connotations like it does in English. They used what was similar to take, as far as I could tell through the door. "No, the cashier's right there. We can go stand outside. I think a car's the blue one." My cat did her angry grumble bug sound, and I tried to pet her to reassure her. There weren't any windows in this bathroom, and my car was parked, unwisely, around the side of the lot. I parked it a little away from the lights because I had a lot of stuff in it and didn't want the items to be lit. But my car was not the blue one. We heard their steps retreat, and we sat there for what felt a very long time. We both jumped when we heard a knock on the door. "Come out quickly, and my girlfriend will lead you through the back to your car. They're standing out by the pumps." It was the guy from behind the counter, and the woman who I thought was the regular. I opened the door, and she ushered me to the back. She opened the door, and I could see my car about 20 feet away. I wanted to sprint, but I remembered I used my key thing to set the alarm. I unlocked the car with my keys, and the alarm went off. I still have deep cuts from my cat from this. I threw myself into the driver's seat, unlocked it with the key, and quickly pressed the button to lock it again. I felt my heart in my throat as I threw the car into reverse and got the fuck out of there. On my way out, I noticed the guy standing near the blue car on the other side of the lot, trying to nonchalantly smoke. They didn't even know I got out. This was a quick incident a few years ago, but I still think about it every day. I was 21 at the time, often mistaken for 17 to 19. My husband and I were driving home after I picked him up from work around 6 o'clock. The sky was just getting dark. He was quite tired from work, and the drive home was half an hour, so he leaned in his seat all the way back and napped. I stopped over for gas and quietly got out of the car to not wake him. Right as I started to shut the door, a hand grabbed it, and a voice demanded I get back in the car. Of course, I screamed, and my husband quickly woke up and jumped out of the car. I turned to see an older man in a very baggy, old-looking clothing and meth sauce on his face. He backed up quickly, his hands in the air. I wasn't gonna do nothing. I wasn't doing nothing to her, he said to my husband, as he knelt to the ground as if to show how harmless he was. I was shaking and told my husband to just get back in the car. The man, taking that as his opportunity, bolted out of the gas station and into the woods behind it. We sat for a minute, then went inside and called the police with the cashiers inside. He obviously thought I was alone because my husband's seat was so low and he was out of sight. I find a little comfort in the fact that if he'd kidnapped me, we'd only have gotten about 50 miles because our gas was so low. I hope he just planned on robbing me, but I'll never know.